Well, recovery these days is much better than it used to be years ago. The reason for this is because technology has improved, and so our instrumentation is much better, our techniques have improved, and our knowledge of the anatomy is much better as well, and hence that we can harness all these together in order to afford a patient a much easier, quicker recovery than in the past. Obviously, non-surgical treatments are even quicker than surgical procedures, because by virtue of the fact that they're not using a knife, they're less invasive, and so therefore there's less bruising, there's less swelling, and generally speaking, patients can go back to return to their normal activities much quicker than before. One of the common procedures that I do are facelifts, and generally speaking, although most people are aware that there's a recovery with a facelift, which is usually about 2 to 3 weeks, some patients are under the misconception that they can have their facelift and 2 or 3 days later they're going to be inviting friends over to show them their facelift, have cocktails, but simply speaking that's not possible, because a facelift is not a walk in the park. It's an invasive procedure. It's got, it works very well when there's an indication for it, and it can give you great dramatic results. But it does have a recovery period of about 2 to 3 weeks. People need to factor that into their routine. Breast surgery is much quicker than in the past, again mainly due to the techniques and the methods that we're using. Generally speaking, there's 2 places you can put the breast implants, either in front of the muscle and behind the muscle. In the past, going behind the muscle was much more painful than before, because simply put, we had to actually cut the muscle in order to place the implant behind it. Nowadays, we don't need to cut the muscle as much. All we do is we separate the fibers in an anatomical plane, and so it's less disruptive, and so the recovery period is much quicker than before. Many patients can actually go back to their office-based work within 2 to 3 days. Liposuction, by virtue of the fact that it is minimally invasive, i.e. very tiny little puncture marks are only made in the skin in order to insert the instruments that we're using, recovery is much quicker than many other procedures, and so patients can many times go back to their work within 3 to 4 days. There are usually no stitches involved, and because the incisions are tiny, there are no wounds to break open or separate, and so patients can actually effectively do what they like without the fear that something's going to happen, something's going to occur to them. In addition to that, they also have supportive compression garments, which really help to keep the skin together and just give them a little bit more support overall, so they can actually continue with their day-to-day activities very soon after the operation.